Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
Well, we're here in Industrial Park, and I really kind of thought I was going to be like center stage with a spotlight or something here, but we're here with Nicole Kelsch, who is the Artistic Director for the Ballet Theatre of Maryland. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, man. This is, well, here we are. We're in the middle of June, and I guess you guys are getting ready for your season coming up.
We are. Before the season, we actually have a 5-week summer intensive for students. So we're actually gearing up for that starting on Monday.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So we'll have students here in the studios 9 to 4 every day. And then we also have evening classes as well starting on Monday.
Well, I'll tell you, the Ballet Theatre of Maryland is one of 4, did I get that right? 4
Yes.
resident companies at Maryland Hall, which is the Annapolis Symphony, the Annapolis Opera, and Live Arts Maryland, which is our chorale, as well as the Ballet Theatre. And you guys have been, I moved here in 96, and if I remember, you guys were always here then. What's the history of the Ballet Theatre of Maryland?
Yes, we are actually about to start our 45th season, so that's a big one for us.
You don't look a day over 25.
And I've been here for, I think it's been 18 years now. We were founded by Edward Stewart, and we were a resident company from the inception of the resident companies. And then Dianna Cuatto was the artistic director after Eddie, and she was my mentor, and when she retired,
I remember speaking with her probably 8 or 9 years ago with Eye on Annapolis. We did some photographs up here, and I think you were dancing at the time.
Yes.
Dancing at the time. Now, the Ballet Theatre of Maryland is a professional organization, correct?
Yes.
I mean, this is not little Sally down the street because she dances real well and come down and tiptoe on the stage or anything like that, right? You guys are professional dancers.
We are, yes. The professional company has 35 dancers, and then we have between 10 and 12 trainees each year, which they're kind of making the bridge between a student and professional. So they work some in the school and some with the company during the day. And most of those dancers have moved here from out of state, although we do have a few that come from in-state. And they are all over the age of 18. But then we also have our conservatory, and we train students from age 2 through adult in our conservatory.
I had no idea that the depth of the organization was that. Well, I guess to a degree. I mean, you've typically have, 4 productions per season. Yes. I mean, I guess you've got to find other outlets to fill in the time, the rest when you're not actually performing. And I realize that there's a lot more that goes into the 2 days of
yes.
Come on, I mean, it's like the teachers, right? It's like, come on, you only work 9 months a year.
Right. No. It takes about 5 to 6 weeks to put a production together. But in that time, we're working on a lot of other things. We have a lot of outreach initiatives that we're working on right now, trying to build our community partnerships and make sure that ballet is accessible to everyone in the community.
It's awesome. Well, I'll tell you, now what is it? You are the artistic director, and is Ballet Theatre of Maryland is a nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay, so if we make contributions and support them and tickets and everything else, well, tickets aren't, but that is tax deductible and stuff. But what is the difference between an artistic director and an executive director?
So technically my title is both of those.
Okay.
Although artistic director is the one that in the dance world, I suppose, is more like readily known or accessible. Artistic director, as the artistic director, I make the decisions on the artistic side about what dancers to hire, what productions we'll be doing, what the costumes will look like, what the sets will look like, the backdrops, all of those sorts of things. And then the executive director side is...
That's where you shake people down for money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, let's call a spade here, okay? and setting ticket prices and everything else that goes on there. I've got you now. Well, what is your background? I mean, you said you've been here for 18 years, and you've obviously not been the artistic director because Dianna had retired, about 6 years ago?
No, it's only been 3.
It's only been 3? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. She retired right as COVID was kind of in that time.
Maybe a smart woman.
I guess she had the foresight, right?
Or something or other there.
So I went to Point Park University in Pittsburgh. I kind of fast-tracked and graduated.
What university?
In Point Park.
Point? As in Ballet Point?
No.
Okay.
They have.
See, look at my knowledge on ballet. My gosh.
They have a park at the point where the three rivers come together, and it's called Point Park, and the university is named after that. It's a well-known for their dance program and as well as acting and things like that. So I got my bachelor's degree in 3 years there, and then I went out and started trying to find my place in the dance world. I danced for a company in South Carolina, and then one in Georgia, and one in Connecticut before I came here.
Okay. So, I mean, was it hard to make the switch of, I mean, I'm assuming that when you were in South Carolina and Georgia and Connecticut, you were a dancer.
Yes.
you weren't shaking people down for money.
No.
You weren't making, costume decisions or anything like that. Was it difficult to make your move from being a dancer? And you were a dancer here.
Yes.
So was it difficult to make the move from being, I'll say, purely a dancer into the whole administrative and, big kahuna role?
So I would say that to a big extent, Dianna was preparing me before I even knew she was preparing me to step into the role. So I had been running the school for probably almost 10 years by the time she retired. And watching her very closely, she started bringing me into meetings and just, so that I would see what she did day to day and so that was very helpful. And so, the transition happened during COVID. So that kind of just threw everything that I would have thought
out the window.
Yeah, just completely blew up everything.
Well,
but
to me, that's got to probably be a sort of a blessing in disguise in hindsight, because you were able now to sort of reform the organization the way that you want, and you also probably had to turn around and figure out how to run the organization. I'm assuming that you did not close the doors on March 20th of 2020 and say, oh, well, we'll see you in 2023.
Right, right.
I mean, we all thought it was going to be 2 weeks, but it was...
Yep. Yeah, no, we immediately started doing class for the company on Zoom because it's, the artists they work together so closely. They're like a team. And so we wanted to try to keep them as connected as possible. And also it's really hard when what you do every day is sort of just taken from you, they're active in their for their lifestyle.
It's their life.
Yeah. And so we wanted to try to keep that as much as possible. We also started our classes for the school right away on Zoom. I forget how exactly it came down, but we assessed that we would be able to dance if we were outside. So we built an outdoor studio out here in the parking lot.
An amusing video. A bunch of ballerinas out in the parking lot.
Yeah. And so we were able to bring the company back in for classes and have a summer intensive, although class sizes were limited. And obviously it's outside in the middle of summer in Annapolis, so we had to do everything pretty early in the day. Right. But we weren't able to be in the studio, really. So
that makes sense. Just out of curiosity, I mean, I don't know where this came into my mind just a couple seconds ago, but you were talking about when Dianna retired and you've been here for 18 years or something like that, and probably the wrong phrase, but I mean, with an athlete, with a pro football player or a baseball player, and I mean, let's face it, you guys are athletes, okay? You're not, tippy toe across the stage. There's a lot that goes into it. What is the lifespan? Wrong word, but of a dancer?
Sure. So it really depends on the individual dancer and their body. everybody's body sort of ages at a different rate, and so it just depends. And then, it's hard to start a family when you're a dancer in a small company. Some of the bigger companies in like New York City or San Francisco, they have a lot of infrastructure to support dancers who have children. Right. We're a smaller company. We don't as much. So if a dancer wants to start their family, they'll often transition. I'm certainly not against a dancer having a child and still continuing to dance. It's just a hard balance to find with the hours that they work and things like that.
Children ruin everything. I'll go on record with that. They put a crimp in every lifestyle.
But so it's things like that will sort of make a dancer want to create a transition for themselves. And all of the dancers work a second job. And so that's also, it can be tiring,
Sure, I imagine that.
Yeah.
Now, you say most of the dancers work a second job. Mm-hmm. Is that standard whether you're here in Annapolis or whether you're up in New York
Not always. The really large companies, no. They'll be just dancing, and then their hours will be longer. So we try to make the hours for the dancers so that they can work that second job.
And I'd imagine a dancer in New York is probably making a little bit more money than a dancer in here, so it makes it a little bit different there.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the season. Your season is kicking off in October, I believe, as far as the
performances. Yes,
performances, yes. The ones where the public will go to Maryland Hall and see the full. And I do love. I hate to diss the opera, but the opera really confuses me because you've got the whole language thing, and also with the subtitles or the super titles that they put over there, and trying to follow everything and put it together for me and the way I think is so difficult. That's why I like ballet. I saw Hamilton this weekend up in New York, and it was very similar because they're singing all the time, and part of the times I'm like, okay, well, I need to focus on what they're saying in the rap. Okay, I'm getting this, but then I want to look up and see what's happening, the action on the stage. And my girlfriend was like, "Are you asleep?" I'm like, "No, I'm concentrating. Leave me, leave me alone." I missed half of the songs and I missed half of the action. So, but what shows are we bringing to Annapolis in 2023, 2024?
In October, we'll be doing the Firebird with music by Stravinsky. So that's a really wonderful one that a lot of people know. We'll be doing the Nutcracker, of course, in December.
Is that like tying your shoes?
A little. A
little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
Can we put Nicole on the stage blindfolded?
Probably.
Okay, thank you. I mean, 19 years, I'm assuming you've got a couple. I mean, that's not a good spring production. I mean, it shows up every December, so...
Yes. But it is a fun one. It's actually the reason that I started dancing was the Nutcracker.
Oh, really?
Yep. My mom took me when I was 3, and I told her at the end of the show that someday I was going to be Clara.
And what did she say?
She said, "Okay, we'll put you in classes."
Okay. And have you played Clara?
Many years, yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, what comes after the Nutcracker in December? And the dates for Firebird are October 13th to the 15th?
Yes.
And then you've got the Nutcracker December 9th through 10th and 16th and 17th as well.
And then we have Momentum, which is our mixed bill performance, February 23rd and 24th. And that is a show that we're really kind of building as a vehicle for the dancers in the company to showcase another side of themselves. So they choreograph most of that show.
Do most of your dancers... I mean, ballet is its own subgenre of dance. Do most of your dancers, are they pure ballet dancers? No. So, I mean, you get some that may get into jazz and modern and...
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's neat.
Yeah, and that show is not as classical typically as our others. So it really kind of gives a different side of the dancer and a different side of the ballet in that show, and it's a really fun one.
Okay.
And then in April 26th and 27th, we have The Sleeping Beauty.
Ah, a classic.
Yes.
a classic there. Now, is 4 productions about right for a I don't want to say a region, but a non-major city type of a production.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty typical.
That's cool. How do we support ballet theater? Now, first of all, before we get too far into it, but balletmaryland.org is a wonderful website because you are spelled theater with the R-E reversed, and we don't even need to get into that on the website. Okay, so it's just balletmaryland.org. Makes it nice and easy.
Yes.
I mean, how can we support you?
Attend shows.
Cheer loudly.
Yes, very loudly.
No, okay. You've done this for 19 years. You've played Clara, the whole 9 yards there. Am I the jerk if I don't bring like flowers to throw up or give to you guys at the end of the?
Not at all.
No? Okay.
No. The support of the audience through, applause and cheers and just having the energy in the room of a full audience is really just everything that a dancer needs.
Does the awkward clap throw you guys off? Like there's a pause in the action or something like that, and the audience goes, "Is it over? I don't know." Okay,
we kind of expect that if there's a long pause in the music that there might that there's likely to be applause, but we try to keep it going and moving so that
season tickets, we can purchase season tickets for all. I mean this is not a huge commitment like the Orioles where we're buying 88 games or whatever it may be.
Yes, our season tickets are definitely, if you plan to see more than one show, it's the best way to save money and see as much of the ballet as you'd like.
Does that give you the same seat?
Yes, you can. Well, you can choose your seat when you purchase your subscription. It gives you the ability to choose your seat for each show. So yes, if you want the same seat, you can choose for each production.
Okay, very cool. All that's on balletmaryland.org as well. Do you use volunteers, or do your dancers swing hammers to build your sets?
They do.
Wow.
The dancers do so much. We have a costume team. They built 100 costumes for our last show, Don Quixote. New costumes. They're amazing. They volunteer for the load-ins, for the load-outs into the theater. And yes, we are always looking for volunteers who can just lend a little bit of time and help out.
Balletmaryland.org is, again, where you want to go there. Now, I've got a question for you as we start to wrap up a little bit. Okay, you said you started dancing, you started dreaming at 3.
Yes.
Dancing shortly thereafter, probably not as well as you dance today. Let's say when you're 21 to getting out of college and you realize that this is your career, and all of a sudden you literally broke your leg and it was a real bad one. You couldn't dance anymore. What would you be doing?
Wow. Well, I could probably still teach ballet, but when I was not sure whether in like high school, when I wasn't sure what path I was taking, I was looking at either chemistry or being a veterinarian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, there's some swings in that pendulum there.
Yep.
A chemist, a vet, or a ballet dancer? You found your calling.
I did, yes.
That's awesome. You've been with Ballet Theatre of Maryland for 18 years, but or in 18, 19 years, have you been in Annapolis that long, or were you?
Yes. At one point I lived in Glen Burnie, but mostly I've lived in Annapolis.
You love it down here?
I do, yeah.
It's home?
It is, yeah.
Ever going to leave?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, I think it's in good hands. It sounds like it's in good hands there for sure. I was on your website, and I saw that you have like just a little blurb about Graysonville. What's the deal with that?
Yes. So I believe it was 2021, I was approached by a woman named Jean Marie who ran Jean Marie Dance Studio, and she was retiring and was looking for an organization to continue like working with her students. And so we absorbed her school into Ballet Theatre of Maryland, and it's officially now Ballet Theatre of Maryland Conservatory.
In Graysonville? Is there a physical location in Graysonville?
Yes.
And for those that are wondering where Graysonville is, that's Kent Island.
Yes.
They over there. I love to go over there. Restaurants over there.
Yes,
awesome.
it's beautiful.
It's great over there. And I also noticed that. This is a giant effort on your part. I look at you've got all sorts of different people, and it probably makes a lot of sense. I mean, you've got the creative types that are working on the creative stuff, and then even though you oversee the creative as well as the money shakedown thing, but you've got others that are support staff and everything else.
Yes.
I mean, how many employees do you guys have, or that are running this thing? I mean, how many people does it take to do this?
So we actually have a very small staff, and aside from me, they are all dancers. So
all that big old list of names there, these are dancers that are doing double duty.
yes,
Man, these men and women are
it's an
troopers.
amazing team. Yeah.
They're troopers. What's the most surprising thing that most people don't know about ballet in general?
I think that it really is about the life experience, dance. And so, although you may think that it's going to be boring or, not very exciting, it's really, even if it's a fluffy fairy tale, our dancers in our company bring real life and heart to it. And so a lot of times when people see a show that they think that they weren't going to like ballet, in quotes,
Right.
they walk out and are like, oh, I didn't know it could be like that. I didn't know that I would enjoy it.
And then they're coming back next year.
Yes.
And then next year and the next year. Is there anything that is the most surprising to most people about Ballet Theatre of Maryland? I mean, I've gotten a lot of surprises in the last half hour.
Probably the number of dancers that we have and how much we do with a small staff, and that the whole staff is dancers. They really, truly care about making sure that our art form gets to the community. They care about the organization. They care about Annapolis, and they move here, and it becomes their home.
And the dancers, are they here, I mean, year after year after year? I mean, I know that the opera brings in some people that float in and float out, and the symphony will bring in some people, and they'll house them with some people, and then they'll float back off to wherever they go into the symphony land.
So they move here for at least a year. Most of them have been with me now for several years. Every once in a while, someone's life changes, or
Sure.
they, but our core group has been here since I became artistic director, and this is their home. And actually, a lot of them, even if they stop dancing, don't move away from Annapolis. We still have some that,
The city is beautiful. I mean, why would you want to anyway? But,
right.
Okay, in some sort of demented world, if I wanted to dance ballet, would you expect a commitment of a year from me? Is that is that sort of what the expectation is coming down to, that I'm going to do a full season?
For the professionals, yes. They sign it's a 30-week contract, but with layoffs in between certain shows. So, but yes, they move here, and
And you said about 5 to 6 weeks of preparation on the on the show, and that's soup to nuts, right? That's not just the dancing and the choreography,
right?
That's the set building and the costume design.
Well, some of that is starting like now, even for our April show. So
right, yeah. And I imagine the Nutcracker, you probably have some costumes that are ready to go there. What's your favorite role that you've ever played?
Probably Juliet in Romeo and Juliet.
Why?
The drama.
Okay. Does drama follow, Nicole?
No, I try to.
Are you a dramatic?
Stay as far away from the drama as possible, but.
Well, I'll tell you. Thank you so much for telling us a lot more about Ballet Theatre of Maryland. And again, you want to go to balletmaryland.org, and Maryland is all spelled out. Contribute, volunteer if you can, but the easiest way to do it is to go see one of the productions that are coming up. October 13th to the 15th is Firebird. Nutcracker is December. It's 2 weekends, the 9th and the 10th and the 16th and the 17th. These are all at Maryland Hall, right?
Yes.
And then you've got Momentum in February 23rd and 24th, and Sleeping Beauty in April 26th and 27th of 2024. And I never thought I'd live to see 2020. Like, wow, unbelievable. But thank you so much for your time today. And I would be remiss in saying, we're going to see each other 2 times this week, because we're both going to be at this tribute to leadership at the Leadership Anne Arundel wrap-up for the year, and you're in the class of 23, 3?
Yes.
Is that? So was that a good experience for you?
A wonderful experience.
Awesome. Well, it'll be fun to see you on Thursday night, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.